Do you know that the CEO of crypto.com just made an announcement on national TV that has shaken the entire crypto market? Yes, he hinted at a possible IPO. Now imagine, if this company gets listed on the stock market, the impact won't just be limited to crypto.com, but it could transform the entire crypto world. Could this really be a new revolution? Or is it just another promise? To find out, make sure you watch this video till the end. And yes, if you want the latest updates on crypto and the stock market, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a big story. The CEO of crypto.com recently appeared on national television and made comments that caught the attention of not only investors, but also the entire cryptocurrency community. In his interview, he strongly hinted that an initial public offering, IPO, could be on the horizon for crypto.com. Now, while he didn't give a clear date or an official timeline, the way he framed his statements makes it sound like the company has already been preparing for this step and is just waiting for the right time to execute it. Many people believe he essentially confirmed that an IPO is definitely coming. It's not a question of if anymore, but rather when. That naturally raises a lot of questions among current CRO token holders and those following the broader crypto market. If crypto.com really goes public, what does that mean for CRO holders? Will there be any chance that CRO token ownership translates into stock ownership? And perhaps more importantly, will such a move help the CRO price in the long run? Or could it potentially put downward pressure on the token by introducing competition between the stock and the coin? These are exactly the types of questions investors, traders, and everyday crypto enthusiasts are wrestling with right now, and they're worth unpacking in detail. As we go through this, I'll also cover how the current market has reacted to the IPO news, what kind of price action we're seeing for CRO, and how the broader market dynamics, especially with Bitcoin and Ethereum, could play into this situation. There are, in fact, two major news stories driving today's market sentiment around crypto.com, and there's also another important development that could affect how people position their profits during this bull run. All of these factors combine into a very interesting moment for crypto.com and for the CRO token. Welcome to AI Crypto Pulse, your daily dose of crypto updates, AI-driven insights, and market trends. Stay ahead of the curve with the latest in crypto and blockchain technology. So, let's break things down step by step. To begin with, CRO has been on an impressive rally lately, ranking among the top 3 best-performing cryptocurrencies in the market on the day the IPO news broke. The coin surged more than 10% in value, which is a remarkable move, especially when compared to other major cryptos that have only been experiencing modest gains. Part of this momentum, of course, comes directly from the excitement around the IPO hint, but it's also happening in a larger context where Bitcoin has been rallying and Ethereum has seen a small pump as well. What's particularly interesting is that we're in September right now, a month that has historically been associated with bearish action in crypto markets. Traders know September as a tricky month, often full of dips and corrections. That means this current pump may only be temporary, and we should all be cautious not to get carried away. Historically, sharp rallies in September are often followed by significant pullbacks. If that pattern repeats, it wouldn't be surprising to see CRO retrace back down to levels like 20 cents or even as low as 16 cents in the worst-case scenario. Those are the support zones I'm watching. However, in the short term, we've seen a positive bounce around the 25 to 27 range, and that's an encouraging sign. On the charts, this zone coincides with prior wicks that acted as a foundation for support, so seeing CRO hold that level is great news. Still, we need to be realistic. If Bitcoin dips lower after its current rally, Ethereum is likely to follow. And if both of those giants lose momentum, CRO could easily slip again. Even so, the fact that CRO managed to stand out as a top performer despite these headwinds shows how powerful the IPO narrative has been. Investors are clearly excited about the possibility, and that excitement is translating directly into price action. Now, why exactly is CRO rallying so strongly? It's not just the IPO speculation. Crypto.com has also been making high-profile partnerships that boost the utility and visibility of its ecosystem. For example, the company recently announced collaborations that involve integrating CRO into platforms associated with prominent figures, including projects linked to political leaders. This has given CRO additional real-world utility and exposure, which markets always reward. On top of that, Crypto.com's treasury management strategy has been in the spotlight, with the company demonstrating how it is building reserves and ensuring stability for the long haul. The CEO, Chris, recently appeared on Bloomberg Business to talk not only about partnerships, but also about these treasury successes. During that interview, while highlighting their growth and stability, he dropped the big teaser that has fueled all this excitement: the suggestion that Crypto.com could go public. His exact words indicated that the company already has the financial numbers and structure in place to qualify for a public listing, but, at least for now, enjoys being a private entity. That subtle statement set off waves of speculation. As a CRO token holder, hearing about an IPO creates two immediate questions. First, will holding CRO tokens entitle you to receive shares in the IPO? It's a reasonable question, especially for newcomers who may not fully understand how the corporate and crypto sides intersect. Unfortunately, the straightforward answer is almost certainly no. There is virtually no precedent for a token automatically converting into stock or granting stockholder rights. The processes are too different, too complex, and governed by different regulatory structures. Stock ownership involves securities laws, while token ownership operates in a very different framework. So while it's tempting to think of CRO as a kind of pre-IPO placeholder, that's just not how it works. Second, will an IPO hurt CRO's price by shifting attention and investment toward the stock instead of the token? That's a more nuanced question. My view is that an IPO announcement itself is actually bullish for CRO in the short term because it signals strength, legitimacy, and growth potential for the entire ecosystem. Teasing the IPO creates hype, and hype tends to lift token prices, as we've already seen in the last few days. Over the long term, the relationship between the IPO stock and CRO will depend on how Crypto.com positions the two. If they launch the IPO too early at the peak of a bull cycle, it could backfire, just like what happened with Coinbase. It's worth revisiting that example because it serves as a valuable lesson. Coinbase launched its IPO in April 2021, right at the euphoric peak of the crypto bull market. At the time, Bitcoin was trading around $60,000, enthusiasm was through the roof, and investors piled into Coinbase stock, which opened near $400 per share. But what happened next? The broader crypto market collapsed, Bitcoin crashed to $15,000, and Coinbase stock sank below $50 in the months that followed. It wasn't that Coinbase was a bad company. It's one of the most important players in the industry, but the timing of its IPO couldn't have been worse. By going public at the very top, Coinbase essentially locked itself into a downward trajectory as the bear market took hold. That's exactly the scenario Crypto.com should aim to avoid. If they were to rush an IPO in the next few months, while we're still near the peak of a bullish cycle, they could set themselves up for the same fate. A stock that starts high but tumbles quickly as the market corrects. Worse yet, such a move could create competition between CRO tokens and Crypto.com stock. Investors might feel torn. Should they put their money into the token, which has utility inside the ecosystem, or into the stock, which represents ownership in the company? That kind of split focus could water down enthusiasm for both. In my opinion, the smarter strategy for Crypto.com would be to tease the IPO now for marketing buzz, which is exactly what they're doing, but wait to actually launch until market conditions are more favorable. The perfect timing might not be at the peak of this cycle, but rather sometime during the next phase, when the market is cooled, the bear market is played out, and a new bull cycle is beginning. At that point, investor sentiment will be more grounded, valuations will be more reasonable, and a new wave of capital will be entering the crypto space. By holding off, Crypto.com can avoid the Coinbase problem and instead position itself for a long, healthy run as a public company while still allowing CRO tokens to shine during the current bull cycle without any distraction or competition. Until then, CRO remains the primary way for retail investors to gain exposure to Crypto.com's growth, and that's a good thing for token holders. Looking at the bigger picture, Crypto.com is in a strong position to pull off an IPO whenever they choose to move forward. They are one of the largest and most regulatory compliant exchanges in the world. They've built partnerships across industries, secured naming rights for major arenas, and gained mainstream recognition through massive media campaigns. Their brand presence is undeniable, and their continued ability to grow their user base and expand utility for CRO makes them a unique player in this space. An IPO would cement their reputation and open new doors for institutional investors who prefer the traditional stock market. For everyday crypto investors, the real takeaway is this: while you won't be getting stock automatically by holding CRO, the mere talk of an IPO creates buzz and confidence that can keep the token performing well in the near term. So, as we move through the rest of this cycle, keep in mind the lessons from history. Crypto markets are highly volatile. Whether we're in a bull market, a bear market, or just moving sideways, there are always opportunities. But timing is everything. The fact that Crypto.com is even considering an IPO shows just how far the industry has come. And for CRO holders, it's a reminder that you're part of a project that is aiming to play in the big leagues. Whether the IPO happens sooner or later, the future looks exciting. Personally, I would love to participate in a Crypto.com IPO when the time is right, because I see them as a behemoth with staying power in this space. The key will be patience, timing, and understanding how the stock side and token side will interact once this major step finally becomes a reality. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not financial advice. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss the latest crypto news and insights.